The silence in the room was heavy, thick with unspoken words and feelings that had been brewing for far too long. Rain hammered against the window pane, a relentless soundtrack to the storm inside. And then, finally, Lynn spoke. Her voice, at first a mere whisper, gradually gained strength as she laid everything bare. Each word was a confession, a truth she had kept locked away, a piece of her soul she was now handing over to him. She told him about her fears, her insecurities, her mistakes, the reasons behind the walls she had built so high around her heart. She didn't hold anything back, didn't try to paint herself in a better light. It was just the raw, unvarnished truth. Min listened. He didn't interrupt, didn't flinch, didn't offer a single word of his own. He just sat there, his entire being focused on her, absorbing every syllable. His face was a canvas of emotion, a flicker of pain in his eyes, a tightening of his jaw, the subtle clenching of his fists. He was feeling every word she said, living through her story with her. The air crackled with the weight of her honesty and his silent reception. It was a fragile, pivotal moment where a single wrong move could shatter everything they had ever been. When her voice finally trailed off into the quiet hum of the rain, a profound silence returned, but this time it was different. It was a space filled not with tension, but with understanding. "I'm sorry," Lynn whispered, the words barely audible, her gaze fixed on the floor. She had said everything she needed to say, and now she braced herself for his reaction, for the verdict. Min slowly closed his eyes, taking a deep, shuddering breath. When he opened them again, they were glistening with a vulnerability she had never seen before. "I was scared," he admitted, his voice hoarse with emotion. "I was terrified of what I was feeling, terrified of getting hurt, of hurting you." He paused, the confession hanging in the air between them. "So I ran." "I'm sorry, Lynn. I'm so sorry I ran away when you needed me. That was all it took." The dam she had been holding back finally broke. Tears streamed down Lynn's face, silent, heartbreaking tears of relief, of sorrow, of a deep, aching love. Min moved towards her, his movements gentle, tentative. He reached out and carefully wiped a tear from her cheek with his thumb. His touch was like a spark, grounding her in the present moment, reassuring her that she wasn't alone in this storm. As he wiped away her tears, the relentless drumming of the rain against the window began to soften, slowly fading into a gentle patter, as if the world outside was finally finding peace along with them. The silence that followed was no longer heavy or suffocating. It was a comfortable, shared space. A quiet understanding had settled between them, a truce declared in their emotional war. Min's hand, which had been resting on her cheek, slowly moved down, his fingers hesitating for a moment before reaching for hers. Without a second thought, Lynn's fingers intertwined with his, her grip tight, desperate, as if she was afraid he might disappear if she let go. It was a simple gesture, but it spoke volumes. It was an anchor, a promise, a bridge across the chasm that had separated them. They both took a deep, simultaneous breath, a shared sigh of release. The tension that had coiled in their chests for so long finally began to unwind. Slowly, Min pulled her into an embrace. It wasn't a passionate, desperate clinch, but a soft, reassuring hug. Lynn rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady, rhythmic beat of his heart. It was the most comforting sound she had ever heard. In that embrace, time seemed to stand still. The world outside, with all its noise and complications, faded away. There was only the two of them, held together in a fragile bubble of acceptance and forgiveness. As the first faint fingers of dawn began to creep through the window, painting the room in soft hues of gray and pink, they found themselves sitting together on the floor, leaning against the sofa. "You're in." The rain had stopped completely, leaving behind a clean, fresh scent in the air. The storm had passed, both outside and within. They talked, not about the past and its hurts, but about the future. Their conversation was quiet, honest. There were no grand promises, no sweeping declarations of eternal love. It was just an open, truthful discussion about their hopes, their fears for what lay ahead, and their willingness to face it, whatever it might be, with this newfound understanding. Soft, genuine smile touched Lynn's lips for the first time in what felt like an eternity. It was a small, fragile thing, but it lit up her entire face. Seeing it, Min couldn't help but smile back. His own smile was gentle, filled with a quiet sense of peace and relief. They didn't need words anymore. Their smiles said everything. As the city began to stir outside, its gentle hum, a sign of a new day beginning, they stood up and walked side by side to the window. Lynn pulled a small, worn notebook from her bag, the one she carried everywhere. She flipped it open to a fresh page. With the morning light illuminating the paper, she began to write. Min stood beside her, watching the graceful movement of her pen, a sense of calm washing over him. He felt at peace, truly at peace, for the first time in a long, long time. After a moment, she wrote the final line, a small, decisive period marking the end. Then she closed the notebook with a soft snap. She looked up at Min, her eyes clear and bright. There was a question in them, a silent inquiry. He simply nodded, a slow, deliberate motion that conveyed all the assurance she needed. Together they walked out the door and into the waking city. Min reached for her hand, and she took it without hesitation, her fingers laced together, a comfortable, natural fit. The morning sunlight surrounded them, casting long shadows on the pavement, warming their faces. No words were needed. The silence between them was filled with a quiet, real love. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was steady, strong, and true. This wasn't an ending. It was a new beginning, unfolding one step at a time, hand in hand. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more.